In Capcom's most recent survey for Resident Evil, they asked the following question. Let us know if there are any other Resident Evil games you want remade. And at initial reading, that sounds like they want to know which game fans want remade next, but there's some other information we can get from this if we have enough context. First, this is speculation, but is backed by patterns of Capcom's past game development cycles. Capcom has most likely had the next remake in some stage of development for some time. The team that completed development on Village most likely helped with some of the development on the Resident Evil 4 remake before moving on to a new project, or they immediately began development on a new Resident Evil title, or a new remake game. The supporting evidence for this is past leaks by Duskulum. Resident Evil 4 Remake began development in 2018 and released in 2023. During the 5 years of development for Resident Evil 4 Remake, we saw 3 other releases: Resident Evil 2 Remake in 2019, Resident Evil 3 Remake in 2020, and Village in 2021. Resident Evil Reverse did release it finally in 2020, but we are mainly looking at main titles here. One source indicated that originally Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 were to be a combined game release, but development was split into 2 separate titles, which left Resident Evil 3 feeling anemic in its length and content. Originally, M2 was lead developer on Resident Evil 4 Remake until 2020 when Capcom's Division 1 team took over. With that context, we know that Resident Evil titles are in development at different times with different teams at Capcom. This means that currently there could be at least 2 Resident Evil games in development. So back to the question, the wording here is really important. Any other is the key phrase here. It seems Capcom already has heard from the fans and is looking for other remakes of interest and gauge the current interest of titles that they have in development already. This information would be valuable as it would let the team decide which game will get the lead development and better assign and designate projects for future release. Back in 2020, Duskulum tweeted the following. Firstly, let me say that if you want a Code Veronica remake, let your voices be heard. Try to vocalize it to Capcom. After Resident Evil 8 is finished, those people will have to be put on another project. I actually do know Capcom listens to fan feedback more than many think they do, and after Resident Evil 8, I think will be the most likely time for Code Veronica may be put on the table if Capcom thinks there is interest. It's highly likely that we will see a Code Veronica remake. There has been a lot of buzz around the topic and fans have been vocal about the game for a while. I also like that Capcom used this as an open-ended question. It's harder to sift the data, but gives fans freedom to write in any title. Feedback is important and Capcom responds well to it. Anyways, here's a link to the survey in the description. The question is at the end and make sure to give accurate feedback. Personally, I love seeing the remakes and feel that so long as there is at least one main new title in development, then having at least one remake in development is also great. Releases every 2 years is also a good pace to push out quality games. I would love to see games yearly, but I would fear for the quality of the games and if that became the pace. Quality over quantity is always best practice in my opinion. But what's your opinion? What remakes are you choosing for this survey and for what reasons? I'd love to discuss and see where interest is, so let me know. Personally, I'd like to see the original Resident Evil done. I think it'd be cool to see it in the third person. I'd like to see how they do that and work with all the designs of the rooms and the claustrophobic space. Code Veronica would also be great to see. I know people are begging for it, so I think it's going to happen. I'd like to see 5 personally. That's my favorite. I know that's kind of weird maybe, but I know a lot of you out there love it. And eventually 6. Now, that's a whole conversation. I'm not going to go into that today. But reimagining it, I think both of those games could be incredible. I know that's maybe pushing it, but if you remake it and fix some of the issues that were the game, I think they could be great. But that's not happening anytime soon, so that's it.